Well, good Wednesday afternoon. First Alert meteorologist Jacob Durham here with you, breaking down the latest risk for the potential for some flooding that we could see, at least the flooding concerns, as we head throughout the upcoming afternoon and as we head into tomorrow morning. Of course, the risk has come down a little bit, so that's some positive news that we can kind of take away. But I'll let a couple people join here on Facebook, and then we'll answer any questions that you may have. If you want to, feel free to drop those into the comment section. I'd be more than happy to answer those with you. So I see a few people beginning to join now, and it's definitely been kind of a dreary afternoon. Unfortunately, the heavy rainfall arriving right on schedule. That's what we're seeing right now as we speak, beginning to move in, and that is going to be the problematic area that we're going to begin to see. Maybe some creeks, some rivers, and especially along our ditches that it may get a little bit higher. They may flow a little bit faster than normal, but so far no major concerns. We do have a couple flood warnings out along some of the rivers here in East Tennessee. You can find those in our WVLT First Alert weather app. But we're also keeping a watch heading into the weekend as well. We've got another round of heavy showers and downpours, maybe the outside risk for a couple of stronger storms as well. Definitely some gusty winds, no doubt about that, and then some heavy rainfall as well, which could lead to some flooding, especially along the plateau, and I'll show you the reason why here in just a moment. Here, look at the current conditions. Actually looks like a little bit brighter out there on the First Century Bank camera in downtown Knoxville. Sun's not really out, but there could be a few breaks in the clouds that make it a little bit lighter at times, but definitely some heavy rainfall coming down. Temperature is still holding very steady. It's very chilly out there, 45 in fact in Knoxville to 43 Harriman, 45 in Crossville to 45 in Athens, so that's a pretty common number from north to south, east to west today, and we do expect these numbers to warm up just a little bit as we go throughout the afternoon. Here's a look at the radar and cloud track. There's a lot going on today in terms of severe weather to our south. I don't expect that today. Heavy rainfall, yes, that will be one thing we watch very closely for you. And as we zoom in a little tighter, I'm actually going to skip to this radar and show you that we've got a little bit of heavier rainfall moving into Knox County as we speak. It's kind of breaking apart. What happens is we get a little bit of bright banding. It's a little colder aloft, so there could be a little bit of snowflakes, and as it moves closer to the radar, we're beginning to get a little bit better institution and kind of idea that it's not quite as heavy as what it is to our south. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of radar tour. Areas that were hard hit yesterday across southeastern Kentucky, thankfully getting a little bit of a break from the heavier rainfall today. Just some light rain from Stearns to Williamsburg to Barberville. Heavier downpours Oneida to Wartburg. Scott County released early today for that flooding potential, their school system. So people are taking heed to that. We're keeping a watch on our foothills and mountains as well. Tazewell to Sneedville to Rogersville and Morristown, some of that light to moderate rainfall. Heavier batches of showers basically right over Pigeon Forge as we speak, back towards Maryville, Madisonville, Cades Cove, getting hit pretty good, and you can see Knoxville, some of those heavier downpours moving in to areas like Bearden as well as Farragut to our south and west back towards Lenoir City, Loudon as well, Sweetwater getting in on some of the heavier downpours back to Athens. So this is just going to kind of continue off and on as we go throughout the rest of our afternoon. No real signs of letting up, at least over the next couple of hours, and then as we head towards late evening, that's when we'll begin to focus on some improvement. Here's a look at rainfall today. Once again, these are coming in, and they'll come in kind of slowly throughout the day. Expect these numbers to jump pretty good, half an inch to an inch for many areas, McMinn to Monroe counties. Expect that to slide up into Knox County as well, officially reporting about a quarter inch in downtown as of now, but right on par for what we expected. Lighter amounts Jamestown to Oneida, where they're only looking at maybe a tenth to a quarter inch by the time it's all said and done. So through tonight, waves of heavy rainfall still continuing off and on for you. We'll see some ponding, hydroplaning risk as well as flooding and mudslides. The excessive rainfall outlook continues to look better for us. In fact, Monticello to Jamestown basically dropped out of the heavy rainfall risk today. Now, still a marginal risk for areas for much of East Tennessee. So that area, that will be something that we're watching very closely for you. That just because you're in a marginal versus slight risk doesn't mean that you're not prone to see some of that flooding. It's just where the heavier downpours will set up, foothills to mountains, that we could see some of those bigger issues arising. Here's what Futurecast looks like through the rest of this afternoon. Heavy downpours continue to work their way in at times, becoming a little bit lighter. We'll get those brief breaks, kind of intermittent, but Futurecast really picking up on another round of heavier downpours. Yesterday it was a little bit quicker on the exit. Today it's a little bit slower, and in fact by midnight tonight we still could be looking at some of those heavier downpours lingering, and that's the concern that we have. That could raise some of those creeks and the river levels as well. especially up to the Smokies. All that heavy rainfall coming down from the mountains could create some of those higher rivers, and TVA is keeping a close watch on those as well. But by tomorrow morning, we are looking a lot better in terms of overall rain coverage. Now, how much are we expecting to fall? Monticello could be a quarter to maybe a half inch at most, so not anything terrible that we can't handle. Areas in Knoxville to Sevierville to Madisonville, inch to 2 inches, I think is a pretty fair bet. Heavier totals as you're heading up into the Smokies, up towards areas like Newfound Gap, Mount LeConte. They could pick up another 2, maybe 3 inches of rain by the time it's all said and done. But this is where things become a little bit more intense in terms of what we have to watch is heading into the weekend. A potent system going to slide back in. It's going to bring heavy, heavy rainfall for areas back to our west. In fact, I think many areas back towards Nashville have a higher flooding concern, but that does extend into East Tennessee as well. That's Saturday night into Sunday, and then temperatures crash behind the cold front. That changes over to some wintry weather threats that we have for parts of East Tennessee. So it's kind of a smorgasbord, if you want to call it that, things that are going to be happening. Here's a look at Thursday. It does look drier, so no issues there in terms of that. We'll skip ahead, though, to what we are looking at in terms of the flooding potential. Valentine's Day looks good. Just remember, moving water 6 inches can carry an adult away. That's why we tell you to turn around, don't drown. 12 inches sweeps away a small car, and 18 inches moves a large vehicle. But this is where I want to spend a little bit more time, and I forgot to update the exact day on this, so I do apologize. I can actually do that while we're on here talking about it, because this is important. This is going to be Saturday into Sunday. This is the excessive rainfall risk. Remember, we're talking about a slight risk right now in terms of that rainfall. This time around, we're talking about the potential for even heavier rainfall. So I'm going to put this in Saturday, and that way it will update for you. That way, if you're just beginning to join us, it's not as confusing, because it can be, especially with what's going on now in terms of that heavy rainfall. So here it is, Saturday. This is the latest risk for excessive rainfall. Notice we have a moderate risk just to our north and west. Jamestown, Williamsburg, southeastern of Kentucky, back up to Monticello. That's the greatest concern, that we could see persistent rainfall throughout the day, which could lead to some flooding. The slight risk, though, due to the 1 to as much as 4 inches of rain that have already fallen here in East Tennessee over the past 2 days, is now into that slight risk. So it's not going to take as much to get the river levels up. Thankfully, we do get about 48 hours worth of time in between the heavy rainfall and Saturday's rain to kind of relax a little bit, kind of let those rivers and hopefully kind of subside just a little bit. But that's something that we're going to be keeping a very, very close watch on as we head into the weekend. So with that being said, no first alert days for that just yet. If we begin to see this shift a little farther to the east, that could certainly change, and that's why we want to go ahead and give you that first alert, the heads up now that this is what we're watching. I know we have a lot of sporting events. First UT baseball game on Friday against Hofstra. That's happening at 4:30. That's first pitch at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. I think Friday is good. If you want to take your Valentine out there, maybe dinner plans, they're looking all fine, no issues there. Then as you head into Saturday and Sunday, they have day games there as well. That's where we'll have to watch. I think Saturday, for the most part, may be okay, at least early on. Now, by the afternoon, it's a different story. So let's time it out for you. Here it is, 5 o'clock in the morning. We'll fast forward it to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Scattered showers, downpours, definitely still a threat there. But look what's happening to the west. Nashville up to southeastern of Kentucky, Memphis, that area, kind of getting that persistent band of rain. It's not until we head overnight into the early morning hours of our Sunday that we watch the risk for heavy rainfall. Gusty winds definitely going to be in play as well, and the potential is there that we could see a stronger storm. Not a great risk at the moment. Slight risk is maybe creeping into our southern counties, south of 40, though. It does not include Knoxville. And then look what happens on the backside. Cold air comes crashing in. We get that horseshoe effect snowfall going on, so that could happen as we head towards Monday. So that's what we're watching right now. I don't see any questions. I see Gail says more rain. Yeah, unfortunately, we're on a very unsettled stretch of weather ahead, and that's not going to change much as we move through the next 48 hours or so. But it will be something that we're going to monitor very closely for you. If you happen to be out and driving, you see some high water, you can safely take a picture. We'd love to see that. That way we can report it on air, let others know as well. Remember, though, we do not want you driving through that high water. We want you to turn around, don't drown. It doesn't take a whole lot of moving water to get you in some deep trouble. We saw that across Middle Tennessee yesterday. Some people trying to drive through, and it ended up causing some issues there. So that's what we're we're wanting to give you that first alert to. Thankfully, so far, no issues right now. We'll keep a close watch on it. We'll have more information coming up on WVLT News at 3:30, 4, 5, and 6. Meteorologist Spencer Denton will be in as well to keep a close watch on this. And if something changes, we'll be the first to let you know. Until now, stay dry, stay warm out there, and we'll look for some brighter days ahead Thursday and Friday.